going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an excellent start to your weekend. Now, Bitcoin is still struggling to break out of this falling wedge pattern. In fact, we did have rejection right here at the top of this resistance, somewhat as expected. However, there is a lot of fear right now in the cryptocurrency space, simply because, as you can see right here, we have, in fact, a death cross forming on the daily chart. We're going to go over the significance of this, but you can see right here, we do in fact have the 50 daily moving average moving below the 200 daily moving average, putting in this impending doom for the cryptocurrency space. Now, in the past, we have had some pretty ugly price movements after these death crosses. But in today's video, I'm going to show you some incredible legacy data that you are definitely going to want to stick around for, because there is evidence right now that Bitcoin is currently in a situation that we've seen Bitcoin in before, and it might just be an opposite indicator of what this death cross is telling us right now. And I do want to share that with you. You're going to want to stick around for that. But another thing too that has a lot of people concerned is the fact that there was a recent study that came out that said about 70% of US investors bought their first ever Bitcoin within the last year. Now, if you consider that 70% of the investors in the cryptocurrency space could potentially be brand new investors, should we be a little bit worried? Are we talking about a lot of weak hands right here? If we see price fall, are we looking at a massive sell-off as fear runs rampant across the crypto space? Well, we're going to go into all that, and I think the data might just surprise you. So if that sounds good to you today, this is the best I can do on a Friday. We know weekends can get a little bit crazy for cryptocurrency, so stick around to the end. I'll try to make this video short, but I'm not going to make any promises. So with that being said, let's dive in and have a look at the charts. And of course, if you are not subscribed at this point and you're watching the CryptoZombie channel, come on, man, push that red button. Show some love out here. We're doing this every single day, guys. So having a look right here, yes, we are in fact still in this falling wedge pattern. Now, as I've pointed out for weeks now, the last two times we did have a breakout. Now, it wouldn't be a surprise to actually see a price breakout from these levels. The one interesting thing that I do want to point out, though, is we have had a bounce right here at the center of the blue territory. And the reason that that level, this yellow line right here, is so significant is because that was the top of this $42,000 pump that we had back in January, actually, of last year. So the fact that this level is sort of coming back to haunt us could be signaling that, you know, if you're looking to buy Bitcoin, not financial advice, these levels could be quite promising in the upcoming future. Now, why is that? Well, number one, we have a nice bounce off of the total market cap, right? This is all of cryptos in general. So we are actually holding above the 50 on the weekly of the overall crypto markets. But nevertheless, we do have this impending doom of this death cross, right? So having a look back here, I have marked out some previous death cross so we can have a look at it. Now, the interesting thing is when we had the death cross back here on October 25th or 26th of 2019, Bitcoin actually did an incredible 33% pump the day following that. So you can't always go by these death crosses because essentially all they really are lagging indicators. In fact, and just use your eyes right now, have a look at what's happening. You can see that if you follow the 50 daily moving average, it really is just showing you this yellow line, essentially what Bitcoin has already done, right? Look at this. So, you know, we have Bitcoin coming up and down and up and then down again and up. And, you know, obviously this line is just sort of following it. So unfortunately, these indicators are lagging. They're kind of already showing us what has happened. So it's not really something that you want to trade. It's something you could say, hey, looks like maybe we're heading into this, but ultimately the actual event itself isn't really that relevant, right? You can see right back here, we actually had a death cross. This was around March 25th. And actually from the day that we had that death cross, Bitcoin actually pumped up 65% following the next 44 days after that. And look at this right here. We actually had a death cross right here around June 20th of last year. Now, keep in mind, we did in fact continue to go downwards, right, for another month. So we did have a month of sideways action after that, which means we could see Bitcoin stuck in a bit of a pickle right now. But once we actually got to the end of those 3 months, what ended up happening, you can actually see Bitcoin actually pumped from bottom to top 81%, and that took 48 days, right? So we did about a month of sideways consolidation and then a month of massive pumpage, right? So what could we expect from this? Well, I mean, are we going to have something like we had with the President Xi pump where we go up 33% in a day? Probably not likely. But what could happen is maybe we just continue to consolidate around this area, because don't forget, guys, we still do have a very, very nice structure right here. We still do have this ascending channel, or it's actually an ascending triangle on the monthly. It's a lot more level right here. So really, could Bitcoin just kind of bounce around this area, boring investors out for another month? People are leaving crypto. It's too boring. I'm not going to pay attention. And then boom, we have the breakout over the all-time high to 75,000. I would consider that to be more likely. So long story short, not going to drag it on. Should we be concerned about the death cross? Short term, yeah, we're probably going to have a little bit of dragging our feet in the mud potentially, but I do think that once we do have the breakout, it's going to catch people off guard. And as long as we maintain this structure right here, in fact, if I go back to the monthly, zooming in, you can see that, on the monthly, it's actually more of an ascending triangle, right? If we actually bring this kind of down here, still looking quite good, still looking like we're putting in higher highs, as I pointed out. We still are on this legacy trend right here. Yeah, I mean, until we break this, okay, so the next level to worry about would be back around 30,000, but we haven't broken out of that level yet, and we are still, in fact, trending upwards, right? I know some people have mentioned the fact that there is a potential head and shoulders pattern. In my opinion, the right shoulder doesn't really look fully formed yet. Hindsight trading, if you want to sell out now, sure, maybe we go down to 30,000, you could buy back in. But ultimately for me, if you're in the game, if you're holding long-term, it's really just an accumulation area for me. Even if we go down to 30,000, you're still just looking at this M pattern right here. As I showed you guys, this actually happened back in the stock markets. I showed you where then the stocks, well, we know what happened. It continued to rally after that. So short term, not too much to worry about. And as I told you guys yesterday, we're still sitting above the EMA ribbon on the monthly, and you really don't see these full-on bear markets for Bitcoin until you fall inside of this ribbon. And at no point, and I mean at no point, since back here in April of 2020, have we been inside of this ribbon. So until we fall into some of these long-term moving averages, we start actually getting down into the water, getting down into the depths of the ribbon. Ultimately, guys, it's still just putting in higher highs and higher lows. Could it be a little bit boring moving forward? Of course it could. But some people are wondering, where are we in this cycle anyway? Well, if we have a look at the CBBI, which stands for the Crypto Bitcoin Bull Run Index. Now, by the way, this is a combination of multiple. You can actually you can go over here if you want. This is at Colin Talks Crypto, but you can turn these off, you can toggle them on, but this is essentially looking at all potential tops. Now, obviously right here, 91% having to peak. The reason that this is so high is because of the 4-year cycle, right? We're looking at 4-year cycles, and if we historically look at Bitcoin, then this is the top, historically speaking, according to the 4-year cycle. But if we actually have a look at the lengthening cycle and the fact that we have diminishing returns and the fact that, Bitcoin is still on this logarithmic trend, although it is getting lower and lower each time, well, then ultimately, if you look at where we are, sitting out of a possible 100K level here for, this is the Bitcoin price, I'm sorry, out of looking at 100 for the top of this, overall CBBI chart, we're actually sitting right down here at around 46 out of 100. So just historically speaking, if we just kind of go back and just say, well, where were we sitting at around these same levels? Well, 46, we hit a 46 right here on February 14th of 2013. Bitcoin price was sitting at around $25, and Bitcoin continued to go up to $213 in the following month. So that right here puts us essentially, we're not in the beginning of the cycle, but we're not at the end of the cycle. We're somewhere in the middle. But we do know that the biggest blastoffs that we see, excuse me guys, it has been a long week for me. The biggest moves that we see essentially happen at the end. That's where you see that massive mania, that rally, that parabolic blow off, right? What about another time that we were right around the 46? Let's see, right around where we are today. That was April 24th of 2017. Bitcoin was sitting at around $1,250. And guess what happened, guys? All the way to the end of the year, Bitcoin did almost a 20x, right? We went all the way up to $20,000. And we actually saw it back here. Even just recently, in November 24th of 2020, we were sitting at around a 46, and Bitcoin was sitting at around $18,600. Well, we all know what happened. We had that blow off, and we went to around the $69,000 level, right? Although I should probably rephrase that. It wasn't really a blow-off top. It was a rounded top. But the point I'm trying to make is if you look at the cycles, if you just jumped into crypto now, you might be saying, well, what the heck did I just do? I bought Bitcoin at 64,000 and now it's at 42,000. What is happening? Well, that is a little bit of concern because you can actually see right here, the vast majority of crypto owners in the United States say that they made their first Bitcoin investment or crypto investment within the last year. In fact, around 70% of them started investing in just 2021 alone. So this survey that was done found that 68% of respondents got their first exposure within the last year, with about 21% saying that they got started 2 years ago and only 12% saying within 4 years. So this is showing that we do have a lot of recent sort of interest in Bitcoin. A lot of the price has just been within the past year as far as, people getting interested in buying. So should we be worried? These people just got into crypto. Do they really believe in crypto? Were they just getting, into crypto for a quick buck? And, if this 70% of new investors decide that they're freaked out, they start selling, could this turn out to be a big issue for Bitcoin? Well, we do know that markets in general do have a way of rewarding the patient over the impatient. Right? Impatient people, they usually sell too soon and then they regret it. But one thing that we do need to point out, and this was according to a study that was done by the National Bureau of Economic Research. They say that there is an estimated 114 million people globally holding cryptocurrency. Now, you have to take this with a grain of salt. Where are they getting their data from? Are there people that have not said that they're holding crypto? Of course, there's tons of Bitcoin wallets out there. But if we just do some simple math, this is very simple math right here. So let's just do it. Let's just see, right? Let's take it's 114. Let's take 114 million people estimated to be holding cryptocurrency today. And we divide it by, I don't know, what is there, 7.8 billion people in the world? I'm sure that number's a little different by today, but let's just go with 7.8 billion. I think that's a number we can work with, right? So we do 7.8 billion people. Right? So there's 7.8 million, 7.8 billion, and divide that. Well, what you end up getting right here, guys, is essentially that, we have, just lost it. We have about 0.01%. So we have about 1.5% of the overall globe holding cryptocurrency right now. So you have to look at those numbers. You have about 1.5%, and this is according to this data. It's probably a little bit higher. I'm sure not everybody's reporting that they're holding crypto. So let's even crazy round it up. Let's not say 1.5%. Let's say 5%. Let's say 5% of the world is holding crypto. That still leaves 95% of people worldwide that don't even have any exposure to cryptocurrency at this point. Now, considering that 90% of the Bitcoin have been mined, and we always use that old, there's about 48 million millionaires in the world or whatever it is today, maybe there's 21 million Bitcoin. When you look at this, you got to say to yourself, is this really the time to be panicking? Or is this the time to be accumulating? I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you let me know how you feel about that. What do you feel about that data below? Are you guys worried right now? I mean, you can see right here, new research has revealed that most cryptocurrency holders actually say that they would prefer to be paid in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So this was the Inside the Crypto Community. It was a report called Plotting the Journey to Mass Adoption. And they say about 55%, which is more than half, right, of holders say that they would like to earn their salaries in cryptocurrency, or at least a portion of their salaries in cryptocurrency. So this is a very, very interesting thing when you're considering the fact that it's very volatile. Why would you want to own it? But it does come down to Gresham's law, right? And Gresham's law, which I've used this all the time on the channel, is essentially, if you went to a deli or you went to the supermarket and you had $100 grocery bill, right? And you had $100 in crypto and $100 in dollars, fiat. And the store owner said to you, hey, we accept both. Which one would you give them? Now, if you ask some of the older crowd, they would say, well, I'm going to get rid of the Bitcoin. That's a speculative investment. I want to hold my dollars. But I guarantee if I ask a lot of you what you would do, you would spend the dollars on the groceries and you would keep the Bitcoin. And the reason you would do this is because you know that the dollar's value compared to the Bitcoin value is really a non-competition at this point. You know that if you hold your dollars in a bank, it's just going to lose value over time. In fact, kind of funny, but the best time to spend your dollars is today. Today is the best time to spend your dollar, because if you wait 5 years, who knows what that dollar is going to buy. But obviously, having a look at Bitcoin, looking at all this aside, just having a look at the actual rainbow chart, Bitcoin continues to go upwards and to the right virtually indefinitely, or at least it has so in the last 13 years, which is why ultimately the world will figure this out. And if you don't believe, so by the way, in yesterday's video, there were a few comments of people talking about Tonga and how they were looking to adopt Bitcoin. And some people were like, yeah, well, that's only about 100,000 citizens. Okay. Well, we got to start small, guys, right? You're not going to have home runs every single day. In fact, it's not about home runs. This is something that my dad actually has always said to me. I'm going to give my dad a little spotlight right now. So, he always says, it's about in life. This is in life in general. It's not about crypto. It could be about health. It could be about wellness, finance, anything in life, anything that you're looking to do. Some people, they set their goals way too high, right? And that's why a lot of people fail. But, you can win a game just by hitting singles. You just hit a single, stack the bases, and then just have the runs come in one at a time, right? Whereas if you attempt to go for the home run, well, you may end up overswinging. You might miss it. You might do a pop fly to the outfield and they catch it, right? So if you're trying to go for these home runs, you may get discouraged. But if you just go for those singles, those doubles, you could still win the game. You could win a basketball game and never actually have a three-pointer, right? You could just do 2 points the whole game, right? So it's all about those. Think about it, dominoes, right? If you have 2 dominoes, no big deal. You have 1,000 dominoes, well, now we have the domino effect, right? And this is the domino effect right here. Rio de Janeiro has everything it takes to become the tech capital of South America. Events like Rio Innovation Week come to strengthen the city's image as the perfect place to work, live, and innovate. Now, who said this? This man in this picture right here. So this is Eduardo Paes. He is the mayor of Rio de Janeiro. And guess what they're looking to do? They're looking to allocate 1% of the city's treasury into Bitcoin. They said that they were inspired by what Mayor Suarez did in Miami, and they say that if they proceed, the megapolis will become the first Brazilian city to purchase Bitcoin as a store of value. They say the possible Bitcoin adoption is considered a massive step for the development of the primary cryptocurrency, since Rio de Janeiro is the financial heart of Brazil. So obviously, if they take initiative to do this and they start allocating capital to Bitcoin, well, then it may just spread to the entire country. And then once you have more countries adopting Bitcoin, whether they be small countries like Tonga with only 100,000, or you have an entire country like, let's say, Brazil ends up adopting this, well, this is what I'm talking about. These are those singles and those doubles, and eventually you end up winning the game, right? So thank you, Dad, for that analogy. If you're watching, I appreciate it. I love you. You're awesome. He does watch my videos sometimes. Occasionally, he watches them. So you can see right here, it says just in, and this was actually after this news, Rio de Janeiro mayor announces 10% discount on taxes paid in Bitcoin. So not only are they looking to allocate 1%, but they're also looking to give a discount of 10% for those choosing to pay their taxes in Bitcoin. Now, Gersham's law, I wouldn't want to pay my taxes in Bitcoin. I would want to pay my taxes in dollars, but hey, man, you do you. Either way, I still think this is really, really awesome news moving forward. Also, not to mention, guys, just pointing this out, they say with the value of the Turkish lira plunging, people in Turkey are diving into cryptocurrencies. Now, interestingly enough, they're not buying Bitcoin, but what they are buying is Tether. And you might be saying to yourself, well, if they're using crypto, but they're only using it for Tether, then how does that help the value of Bitcoin? Well, I don't know if you guys saw this story, but recently, Tether actually blacklisted 3 different wallets of over $150 million. Yes, my friends, they froze these wallets. Tether is centralized. They have the power to do this. Now, they do say that they didn't offer any information as to why the funds were frozen. I have no idea. Speculate. Maybe they're working with governments. Maybe they know something we don't know. But at the end of the day, you could see that this is that degree of centralization that you could be a little fearful about. So if you're sitting in Tether right now, and I'm not trying to freak you out, but if you're holding a bunch of Tether, keep in mind, these guys can freeze it. You can't do that with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is human property. It's rights. It's borderless, right? There's nothing they can do unless you give up your private key. And I think that what we're seeing in Turkey right now is just desperation to fight inflation, even though the US dollar is inflating. It's not inflating as much as the Turkish lira. But ultimately, this is the gateway drug, right, into the crypto space, where I think that eventually they will start to allocate into Bitcoin once they realize that, well, not really your tether, right? I mean, it's sort of just a placeholder and they could do whatever they want with it, right? So ending on some good news today, I do want to just mention that Bitcoin's hash rate, although we were scared about what was happening over in Kazakhstan, it looks like it has fully recovered. So that is some kind of good fundamental news for Bitcoin. And on top of that, even though price action has been a little bit boring, Block CEO Jack Dorsey has confirmed the creation of an open Bitcoin mining system. He says Bitcoin miners continue to show resilience. And also, by the way, Fidelity Digital Assets said that the network is more widely distributed around the world. So a lot of people were scared when China was looking to ban Bitcoin mining and all this other stuff, but really all it did was allow more decentralization, right? It was able to spread the distribution of the hash around the world, which is really what we want for Bitcoin. We don't want that ultimate centralization. So long story short, they go on to say that Block's goals for Bitcoin mining are as follows. They say, we want to make mining more distributed and efficient in every way, from buying to setup to maintenance to mining. We're interested because mining goes far beyond creating new Bitcoin. We see it as a long-term need for a future that is fully decentralized and permissionless. And just going back to our good old CBBI over here, you guys can see that it's possible. And I was thinking about this morning. I'm going to do a little mini rant. I was thinking, like, what if Bitcoin is boring for the next 4 months? What if we just bounce around the range between, maybe we go down to 35, we go up to 55, come back to 42? What if it's just like a totally boring year, right? Until, let's say summer. What am I going to do? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep making these videos every single day. You want to know why, guys? Because I don't walk away in bear markets. I don't walk away in bull markets. I don't walk away in crab markets. You know why? Because I believe in it. And it's a lot easier to have diamond hands and to hold on to crypto when you actually believe in it. It's generally that mentality of wanting to sort of 10x, 100x, 1000x your money overnight. It's that greed. It's not caring about the space. It's just getting in for quick flips and profits. Usually that's the people that get burned. A lot of the people that I talk to that are upset about their investments in cryptocurrency, it's usually people that bought in. A lot of them bought in 2017. Bear market came 2018. They all sold. And what's hilarious is Bitcoin, first of all, completely shattered 20K. Ethereum, Cardano, Chainlink, right? All these projects, actually Chainlink, was Chainlink out in 2017? I don't think it was. I think it came later. But my point is a lot of these projects, the good projects that are actually worth staying into and holding on to, did very, very, very well in the years to follow. So as I said, markets are a place where the patient take the money from the impatient. If you're an impatient person and, this is freaking you out, then yeah, you may be your own worst enemy, right? When I first got into crypto, there were a lot of coins that I sold way too soon, only to come back 2 years later and realize, had I held, well, would be doing a lot better. Would be doing a lot better than where I am. Not that I'm doing bad. Obviously I've held Bitcoin for many years. It's done very well. I bought a lot of my first Bitcoin when it was 2000, but I continue to buy Bitcoin today because when you consider where Bitcoin is going and the price that Bitcoin could be and the need for Bitcoin, and even just these small little dominoes, these singles and doubles, right? They add up at the end. And I do believe that the world will see hyper Bitcoinization. It's only just a matter of time. So on that note, I'm going to leave today's video and say, I love you guys. You're awesome. Be safe this weekend. Thank you so much for sticking around. Not every day can be sunshine, rainbows, and moonshots, but you know what? It's those that stick it out, those that have the conviction, those that understand the value of the doubles and the triples, those that understand the value of placing the dominoes. Well, that is where the winners will be made. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. My name is K-Dub, and be sure, if you are looking to trade these markets, they are very choppy right now. Not really the best place to be trading, especially if you're using leverage, but if you're interested in learning how to do it, I do have tutorials right here, and also $8,000 in bonuses below. Thank you so much. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.